Matt, thank you so much for sitting down today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You know, you've been in the apartment community and industry for over 10 years.
Yeah, actually, almost 20 in the industry,
okay.
10 years in apartment marketing.
Okay, I didn't know that. You know, and you are someone that you're everywhere. You're on LinkedIn, you're on YouTube, you're on every social media platform. I see your face everywhere. In fact, general managers, property managers, and portfolio managers, they know your name. So tell me, how did you start this? How did you get into this?
That's a great question. I've just always had a passion for the apartment industry, for leasing, and more importantly, the foundational techniques that a leasing agent can have. I mean, if you think about it, these are multi-million-dollar assets, and you've got somebody that's facing that potential client that can make or break not only their job, but the community and the portfolio in general. So I've always just been so excited about what is it that can help a leasing agent's job be easier, be more effective, and help them put people in these homes and grow their career.
So when you work with different properties, what are 2 or 3 things that you always want to showcase for that property? What are what is your trademark?
Yeah, so for me personally, and it dovetails really nice in my career with multifamily traffic. So for those that don't know, multifamily traffic is the #1 company out there for marketing apartments, for, as you probably know, for helping apartments get found on Google. So out of those 3 things, the first thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that a community is being found by prospective renters. And I'll get into that as a marketer a little bit. Apartments are very different. So traditional media and traditional marketing doesn't work. If I want to sell you on this jacket, and you see this jacket on a billboard, and you're like, wow, that's a sharp looking jacket, you can make a decision and go. The tricky part about an apartment is I can try and sell you a new home all day long. If you're not in the market, you're not buying.
That's right.
No matter how good it looks, right? So that's why I need to use Google to catch you. I call it the precious present, to catch you in that window where you open up, you're thinking about moving. You're being transferred, you had a baby and you need 3 bedrooms or you need 2 bedrooms. I need to catch you right in that moment. So the first thing that I'm passionate about is in helping people find your property in that precious present of when they're hot, when they're ready to go. Because if you just market to them, you're gonna get your brand out there, but they're not gonna move in. The second thing that I'm most concerned with is I wanna make sure that I'm showing the property to the right people so that they're qualified, so that the folks in the leasing office are getting hot, qualified renters that are a match for that community. Because there's nothing more that sets the psychology in the wrong way with a leasing agent than if I send 25 people to the community that day and they all don't qualify. Nobody says, I'm not qualified to live here. What they say is, wow, that's too expensive. This place is too expensive. And it's amazing, I'm a big believer in psychology. You get 25 people in a row telling you, hey, your properties, your units are too expensive, that you start thinking it yourself. And then the leasing agent starts thinking, our place is overpriced. And they're psyched out and they're losing before they even start. They've lost themselves and they put themselves out of the game. So I want to make sure that 1, you're being found, 2, that it's the right people. So you're not getting people that are coming in and looking for the wrong type of unit at the wrong price point. Those all dovetail really nice into multifamily traffic. The third piece, as you asked, my top 3, is a personal one for me. And this is where kind of multifamily traffic stops in my personal, what gets me going in the morning takes over, and that is I want to make sure that the property staff have all the tools that they can have to close those units and to feel good about being in leasing and to feel good about their career. So that's why I do these videos. You ask, hey, you got around, how'd you get your start? I got my start because I've had some difficult times in my life, and there's been years where things were not so great for me, where personally I was in a bad spot. And it was my ability to work with clients and to understand those clients and to care about those clients and to clearly communicate how I could help them that got me through, that got my businesses through, that got me through tough times. So now that I'm doing great, I want to pass some of that information back. So that's the third piece of kind of my personal triangle, is coaching and helping leasing agents. And I don't care if they're a customer or not, I just want to help people. So long after I'm gone, hopefully somewhere somebody's going to go, man, I learned this technique of how to write an email or how to show a unit, and you know, their life is better, and that makes me feel good.
Very interesting, because as you're talking about this, and you know, that last point of helping people, coaching them, you know, it's been my experience that everybody needs help sometime, right?
Yeah.
And when you look at these multi-million-dollar assets, and that the fact that they have some of the best teams in the world,
the best,
that are out there trying to lease, you know, in hot markets, in sometimes saturated markets, and sometimes they can't rise above obscurity, and that's something that you and I always talk about. So you know, walk me through, like, you know, if I'm a general manager and I have this beautiful property, right? How long does it take for me to start seeing a ROI on what you do, and also, what are things that I should be asking myself and my team of in order to really go to that next level?
Great question. So depending on your level of need, if it's a lease up, right, and let's say you've got 100 units or 300 units that you got to occupy by next month, within 30 days, I'm going to approach you with some different strategies than if, hey, we're at 92% occupancy and I need to get up to 99 or 100, different scenarios. I want to make sure that I'm always matching up the right scenario with each client. So my goal is to get you to a point where all the other marketing combined out there, so your traditional marketing, your apartments.com, anything else that you're doing is all gravy, and that's good, but you're surviving on your own with the stuff that we're providing you with within about 60 days. So turnaround time, I would like you to be feeling very comfortable within 60 days of starting to work with us. So hopefully that answers your question on the timeline. So I will do the products that meet your need to help make that up in, you know, a couple months, 60 days there. Now, the second part of your question is what's the most interesting to me, and that is, as the general manager with your team, I think we make a mistake a lot of times of setting what we expect from our team. Again, going back to that precious present and the fact that people have to be in the market for a community, I think it's unreasonable to expect a leasing manager to be going out and handing out flyers, and you know, this isn't life insurance. You can't call your family and friends and say, let's move. So my expectation that I would set of my staff is, you need to have a smile on your face, you need to be energetic, you need to be excited about your career, and you need to be aware of the potential that your career has. Even if you're in maintenance or you're an assistant manager, this is the foundation for you to grow an incredible career where you can make all your dreams come true. So if I can have my staff show up motivated and aware of the impact that they're having on our industry, on the community and the portfolio, and on themselves, and they're gonna give me their best every day, I'm gonna then give them the leads so they can hit it out of the park. I think the mistake is we ask the community manager to do everything. And that's where they start to get psyched out, and they're like, I've got to get 30 leases done this month and I'm getting no help. There's no, you know, collaboration with marketing. The leads I'm getting stink. I'm afraid to tell them they stink. So I'll set you up so you get hot qualified leads. 10 times more is our philosophy. We want to give you 10 times more than you need within about 60 days. And then I just want you as the manager to make sure that your team is motivated, excited, and aware of the impact that they're having and the potential that they have in their career. If you can give me that on your side, I'll give you the leads on my side. And then to that third point, if you need any extra coaching or training, I'm here to help you with that too.
Okay. Anybody that's watching this, before we sit down to talk, Matt showed me something very interesting. Matt pulled up Google, typed in luxury apartments, and showed me all of like the luxury apartments that were in a certain community. Then he typed in felony-friendly luxury apartments in that same area, and guess what? They were all there. So Matt, talk to me about, keywords and how properties might not even know that they're being tagged as felony friendly in searches.
Yeah, so just to recap for those that don't know, so there's two main services that multifamily traffic offers. The first is our SEO service, so that's going to rank you organically. So if you're in Houston, for example, it's all your apartments in Houston, luxury apartments in Houston. On those examples we went through were luxury. So organic are all the listings right on the first page below the ads. What we saw were the ads, okay? So that's paid ad or pay-per-click or AdWords. That's something that makes me really sad. The best way I can describe it is it's like baking a cake, okay? There's an order to things in life, and it's just a rule. You can't break the rule. If you're gonna bake a cake, you don't bake it first and then mix the batter, right? You mix the batter and then you bake the cake. How that applies to AdWords and to marketing is oftentimes somebody will come in and they're a marketer first. They're an advertiser first. And they've spent 10 years on Madison Avenue, and they've worked for Starbucks, and they've worked for Gucci, and they've worked for Little Caesars Pizza, and they understand how ads work, all right? That is baking the cake first and then mixing the batter. The mixing the batter is understanding apartments and understanding how apartment communities work, and that people have to live in these communities and the type of people that are looking. Gucci doesn't have to worry about people searching for felon-friendly shoes. And even if felons were buying the shoes, that's not going to impact Gucci. So what ends up happening, and to answer your question, is they don't understand how the Google algorithm works in terms of real estate. And so luxury will lead to best. Best will lead to affordable, because if we assume something is luxury, we assume it's the best, right?
Sure.
If we assume something is the best, we can also assume it's a good deal, right?
Right.
So now we've just moved away from luxury. Affordable leads to no credit check or no background check.
Okay.
No background check leads to felon friendly. And it's not that simple. These Madison Avenue marketers are not having somebody looking at this stuff all day, every day. And that's where we run into that frustration that I was talking to you about, where marketing will say, we spent $3,000 last month, Kim. Why didn't you close? Why did you only close 2 units, Kim? We gave you all these. What they don't realize is Kim's getting all of these people that are underqualified or not qualified, and that's why Kim starts thinking we're too expensive, we're not a good deal. So that's what we do, is we've got very specific people. They're not from Madison Avenue first. They're from the apartment industry first, and they're really good at what they do, which is managing these campaigns. You can go out and you can find a marketing company. There's thousands of them out there. You need to, if it's not with us, you need to find somebody that understands apartments.
Okay. All right, so I want to change gears a little bit.
Sure.
Okay? Because one of the things that I've been really impressed with your company and like the work that you do is a lot of the community involvement that you're in.
Thank you.
You know, you guys are actively involved in like the Boys and Girls Club, and a lot of other nonprofits, to where you're not only giving money, but you're giving your time too. So, you know, how has that impacted your culture at your company?
Yeah, I mean, I think it all goes to, you know, conscious community, and we don't ask anybody at our company to do any endeavors that they don't want to do outside of work.
Sure.
So we're not forcing people to get involved with Boys and Girls Club. When they do, that's great. But we understand at our company, we have some sayings on the board, and a big one is manage this campaign as if it was your own property. And we're well aware of the fact that these assets that we're working with in our clients, they're actually serving people in a microcosm of a community. So we want to bring the best people we can into that community, because we know that renter that we helped you close yesterday is going to have to live with the person that we're helping you sign a lease with today.
Yeah.
And we've all lived in apartments, and we know what it's like to have a crappy neighbor. And I'm not saying I can prevent that,
sure,
but I want to be aware of the fact that we're not just selling a product here. These are people's homes. These are where people live.
That's right.
And I want to make sure that my people have the best home to live in, that the community managers can feel safe and happy. And I think that feeling is transferred for many of us at the company as well. Myself, you know, that's why I want to get involved with, you know, charities and things in the community personally, because I get a kick out of making people's lives better. So you and I, we've had offline conversations about helping people development and so forth, and
And I see a lot of what you're doing in the local community also transfer into how you lead your business and how you lead all your employees. You know, what can you tell anybody watching on ways to be more, or ways to be a effective leader? Like, what are things that they can take out of their daily lives and really help lead their teams? Because, you know, in a apartment community, half their stuff is on sales, and half is on service.
Yep.
You know, so not only are they trying to get new leases, but they're also trying to maintain their leases, give great quality service, make sure maintenance is always on top of everything. So with so much controlled chaos is what I'll call it, how can they effectively lead that?
Yeah, great question. And I think that's something where we've had the best intentions in our industry and in our economy here in the United States over the last 3 years, in that there's a lot of information out there. We're drowning in information.
Sure.
I could go on Instagram and there's 1,000 pictures. It's always Leonardo DiCaprio.
Right.
I don't know why. There's always a picture of Leo and he's like,
saying something never said.
Catchphrase.
Yeah.
I think that can be a bit dangerous. And I think leaders should, number one, think about what they're passing on. Don't just pass something out because Matt Easton said it, or you saw a picture with. Make sure, does this apply to my people? But more importantly, going back to what I was saying before, if you can make sure that your staff understands the opportunity that they have in front of them in this industry and the difference that they can make, I think a leader should be motivated in making sure that his clients, his associates, know the power of what they're doing. And for me, the reason why I say clients is, for me, I want to make sure my clients understand the impact that they're having. We're putting a roof over people's heads. You're giving people their first apartment, their second apartment, the apartment that's now getting them out of maybe a bad position in their life. If you continue that out, you could get to the point where your portfolio is so big, you're actually changing the skylines of cities, you know?
Yeah.
And that's pretty incredible. And I think everybody from maintenance on up needs to understand the impact that they're having on people's lives. So, we could talk about it all day, fundamentals. I think the first fundamental that I would pass on to people watching this interview right now is to make sure that your people understand that this is not just a job. You know, they're not just coming to work. You're not just fixing somebody's dripping faucet. You're changing people's lives. And the stuff that you're doing, even at the bottom, is the exact same stuff that the CEOs of the top performing companies are doing. They're listening, they're aware, they understand opportunities, and they're making people's lives better.
You know what? You were actually just telling me a story about how you met one of the top CEOs of one of the biggest REITs out there, and they started in maintenance.
Yeah.
So when you're talking to these teams, you know, they literally can create a career just from serving others.
Yep.
You know, and you've seen that, and I think we've all seen that. And, you know, I love testimonies like that, because just because where you start, that's not where you end. Where you end is where you choose to be.
Yep.
You know, and so even in the apartment industry, you know, you're not just in sales, you're not just in maintenance, you're not just, you know, just a manager, whatever. There's a future, and that future is serving others and changing lives, exactly what you said.
We just had a Super Bowl where the MVP was a backup quarterback.
That's right.
Right?
So anything's possible, right?
Yep. And that, back to that CEO, what's remained consistent for that individual is their fundamentals. They care about what they're doing. They show up every day. Whether they want, we all have bad days when we don't want to show up. They show up, they put a smile on their face, and they welcome problems. That, I guarantee you, that was a maintenance person that was like, what can I fix today? Not what can I avoid today, or what can I put off?
Well, and that's probably how he got into a leadership role, because he was able to fix things. He's probably a fixer, right?
Yep, and we're all fixers at heart. It's the same. It's the same thing. The only difference, all of those guys are qualified to play from the bottom on up. It's just when his opportunity came, just like the backup quarterback, he kept going with it. And what's neat, what's a lot better about what we're doing than sports, you only have a handful of teams in the NFL. We have all of these opportunities in our industry. So your opportunity to go further, faster, is greater than any other industry out there. It's not going away.
So, you know, just a couple more questions, but one is, you know, in almost every industry, you always hear economies of scale and how quickly can you scale something. Matt, can you talk to me about the communities that you work with and how quickly they're scaling? Like, I mean, what are some numbers that you're able to actually tell the audience of companies that you've worked with, brought online, they've matured, and you know what that ROI is? You know, are they at 98% capacity? You know, are they, you know, is it in their entire portfolio? Just walk me through how clients that come on board can actually scale very quickly.
Yeah, great question, and unfortunately, I have to be honest, so I need to be humble with this answer. I think the biggest ROI for us at Multifamily and Traffic, and we're proud of this, I'm never going to claim that I got a property to 100% occupancy. All I did was get the junk and the noise out of the way so that those rock stars on site could do their job and could do what they were trained to do and get in the game and score touchdowns. That's the problem out there. I think a lot of marketing companies take way too much credit. They've got communities, and we have these big, I'm not going to name names, but we have these big conglomerates there that really have portfolios thinking, if I don't do business with these guys, I'm done. Guess what? All people like me are doing is getting your people on the field and putting the ball in their hand. Yeah. And they've got to score. So I don't want to take credit. What I will say that we do perform, and in the area that we have a very quick return on, and again, it's a very short amount of time, is clearing out that noise so that your people can get to what they do best. So they're not having to deal with either no phone calls, which is the worst case scenario, right, or a ton of phone calls from the wrong people, or God forbid, I got 9 evictions I got to deal with because I did place leases but with the wrong people. So I'm getting that garbage out of the way, but they still need to pick up the ball and run the play and score the touchdown. Nice.
All right, so last question.
Yep.
If you had to leave one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would say the one thing, and I wish I did this earlier in my career, and I get a lot of phone calls. I probably shouldn't do this, but I always give my cell phone out. I think 100,000 people have my cell phone, so I have to turn it off at night so I can get a few hours of sleep. Probably the #1 question I get all the time is, you know, how do I get my start? What should I do to start? Or what can I do to get into the industry? And I think our egos get in the way. I don't get this question a lot from, you know, regionals or vice presidents. They're not calling me and saying I want to be CEO, but I know that they do.
Right.
They're just not asking the question. So the one piece of advice that I would give is start where you are. I think a lot of people, I'll get texts at 2 o'clock in the morning from somebody saying, man, I want to get into the industry, or I want to get promoted. What do I need to have in place? What should I buy? Should I do videos? Should I get a camera? Should I do this? No. Start where you are with what you have and move forward. The rest, if you can do that, the rest will fall into place. If you're waiting for an opportunity to happen, or for you to get something, or for you to finish your education, there's always going to be something for you to wait on and to not get started. If you start where you are, you will have the right habits, just like the guy in maintenance, every day doing what you do, but start with what you have in front of you right now. And I'm going to give you a real world scenario, because this guy texted me at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I forgot to turn my phone off. It woke me up, so I'm still thinking about him. He's like, I really want to get my start in property management, but I don't have the right degrees and my resume is not, you know, so what should I do? Should I learn first and then write my resume and start next month? You know what he could do today? He could drive around and find an apartment community that he wants to live at and walk in and tell the property manager, I got to tell you, this place is amazing and I'm going to live here.
Yeah.
And I want to help you show everybody else in the world that this place is amazing. How can I help? He doesn't need a resume to do that.
Yeah.
He doesn't need a fancy laptop. He doesn't need the new iPhone. He needs to get his butt off his couch, go see where he wants to work, and walk in and tell them, I want to work here. Does that guarantee that he's going to get a yes? Absolutely not. But he's not sitting around waiting for something to happen.
He's starting
where he is.
That's good.
On his couch at 3 o'clock in the morning.
That's good.
That's what I would do.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me and Matt today. Matt, I really appreciate your time.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, I get the privilege to meet some of the top CEOs and executive leaders in the world. And I will say Matt Easton is right up there. His company is changing the way that the apartment industry does business. And so, Matt, thank you so much for your time today.
Appreciate it. Thank you.